So Donald, you want to jump us in?
I definitely will. First of all, I'd like to thank y'all for letting me be here.
Definitely.
Because this is something that is very important to me with, me having daughters and being around a lot of women in my life. And, I get a lot of DMs on Instagram of women who are in abusive situations who need guidance, and I don't have all the answers. You feel what I'm saying? And it's just like, sometimes I be feeling like sad because it's like, I don't know what to tell them or what to do, so I wanted to do this to be able to give more information on how to escape these situations, how to, what moves to make to like, what's the first step? Like, what do I do if I'm in a situation and I'm in this, cause I don't know, I never, I can make music and heal people musically, but I can't stop it from happening.
Right.
So it's like, it's a lot of women that are in these situations who need guidance. So that's why I'm here.
Well, I appreciate you, and I know Nancy appreciates you, Ebony appreciates you. I just wanted to start off by having everybody introduce themselves. Everybody knows you, they don't know us. So Nancy, could you just introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Nancy Freoff, and I am CEO with Partnership Against Domestic Violence.
Perfect.
Hello, my name is Ebony Russell, and I'm the underserved advocate at PADV.
So what does that mean? So I do have some questions here, and I promise I'm going to get to them.
You have to introduce
Oh,
yourself.
right. All right. So I'm Jeffrey Brown. I'm the VP of Development and Marketing for Partnership Against Domestic Violence. That's just a fancy way of saying that I raise money and I play on Facebook all day. So this is kind of my wheelhouse. So I appreciate you. And Instagram. Yes, I play Instagram. I play on it all. And for everybody that's joined so far, feel free. We are monitoring the stream. So ask questions if you have questions. And if you have not, you can follow us at PADV Atlanta, and I will go ahead and drop that in the comment section. So you can follow us on Instagram as well. So Nancy, feel free to just talk a little bit about PADV, some of our services. Just tell everybody, since nobody knows about what we do, tell us a little bit about what we do.
All right, well, Partnership Against Domestic Violence was the first domestic violence agency in the state of Georgia and the 5th in the nation. And so our mission is to end the crime of intimate partner violence and empower its survivors. And we do that, if y'all can see the banner, we do that both through individual services as well as community services. So we have a 24-hour hotline, we have 2 shelters, we do counseling in the community, we do legal advocacy if people need a temporary protective order to help them stay safe from their abuser, we can help with that. We do a lot of community education, we do it in the workplace and faith-based organizations. We have a very robust teen dating violence program, so we work a lot with youth about what is a healthy relationship and what isn't, and that's so important because the majority of women that are killed by a male partner, they met the male partner between the ages of about 15 to 23. So we're really, really seeing that if folks don't get into healthy relationships at a young age and they start experiencing the violence at a young age, there is so much more risk for all kinds of harm and danger.
So Donald, one of the things that when we first met months ago, you said you told me the story of the young lady, kind of who really launched you down this path. Yeah. Do you mind? I mean, you don't have to use her name, but do you mind kind of sharing her story?
Yeah. So her situation was like, I was like the friend, like who you call and just tell everything. Like, so it was like, oh, he just hit me. He just bruised my face. He just put me outside. Like, it was just like, she used to always call me with like her story of what's going on. And it's like, I just like knew I couldn't get myself too involved. You feel what I'm saying? Because like, I didn't want to hurt my career or what I had going on. So it was like, I was trying to encourage her, like, just leave, but it wasn't working.
Right.
So I was like, all right, what can I do? Music helps me with a lot. Like, I can hear a song about my situation and it can make me feel like, okay, everything gonna be all right.
Right.
So I made her the song. Like, I made Do Better for her. And and that was just it. I sent her the song and I started seeing a change in her. Like, she started being motivated to leave the situation. So I was like, oh man, like the song was working.
Right.
A friend of mine was like, man, look, you need to put this song out and let other women who in situations like that hear it. And she left the situation. She started bettering herself. Like, she still is back and forth But I think like she's finally done with the situation. And you know, like I'm proud of her, and just to know that my music helped the situation. But like she went through a lot in that situation, and she lost a lot. You know, she's a smart young girl who could have been way more in life if she didn't have this situation hovering over her.
So you brought up something that I want to ask Ebony about. Why is it that women and men, because men are victims of domestic violence as well, why do they stay in these situations?
Well, it's on the average, it takes them about 7 times to finally leave. But the reason why most people tend to stay is because the lack of resources. They don't know that agency like PADV is out there. They don't know who to go to. And then when they go to their friends don't even know who they can go to. Again, so like the lack of resources, just knowing that help is out there. Finances, you know, maybe a health problem they have, you know, they may feel trapped. Maybe they have children.
Yeah.
So, it's hard just to uproot children, and where are they gonna go? You know, sometimes it's not safe to go to your best friend or your parents' house. And a lot of times when people think of shelters, you know, they have the negative side. And so they don't wanna go to a shelter.
So, like what you were saying about children, like that'd be the number one thing. Like we got a kid together. I don't want to take my child away from their father. You know, like I hear that a lot. You know, like I hear that a lot. And then like financial is like big. It's like where I'm gonna go. I don't have no money. And like you said about going to other people. Like majority of the people that people go to when they're in domestic situations, they don't take it serious. Like they be like, oh, just go work it out. Y'all can figure it out. Like everything gonna be okay. It's probably a mistake, and they don't really understand.
Right.
Like, cause I got a friend of mine right now. Like it took her for her to lose everything, and you know, and almost have her life taken for her to realize, like, man, I gotta get away from this. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and now she's fighting to get her child back from this dude. You know, because he done made, like, she had to go to a crazy house because they felt like she was losing her mind. So now he has her child. And now she's like without her child right now. And then, you know, like, it's just crazy, like how these men just manipulate, you know. And I was like, when she came to me the first time, I had an apartment and I was staying there, but my lease was almost up. So when my lease was up, I was about to move, but she came to me right when my lease was about to be up. So I was like, look, I'll renew my lease, you and your son can have my apartment. You feel what I'm saying? I'll just pay it until you figure out what you're doing. And she ended up going back again, you know, like, and it put me in a bind because like I'm paying, like I'm still having to pay for this like apartment that like I just gave to her. You feel what I'm saying? That I wasn't even gonna stay in no more because I couldn't afford it back then. You know, so it's just like, and I talk to her now, like, and she like in the process of trying to get visitation for her own son because of an abusive dude who done manipulated her and tricked her out of her life.
Everything that you have said is so common. You explained just so much of the craziness of domestic violence, and I always say domestic violence makes no sense because it makes no sense to hurt someone you love, and it makes no sense to live with someone that's hurting you. But when you understand the dynamics, then it starts to make sense, and everything that you described is so common. So batterers will be very verbally abusive and very emotionally abusive. You're crazy. I'm the only man that would ever put up with your craziness.
Control.
Right. It's about power and control. And you better thank God that you got me, and that I will put up with your craziness and give you a place to live.
Exactly.
They'll use the children against them, and that whole crazy. Often if the victim calls the police, they'll say to the policeman, she's just crazy, she's not taking her meds, just let me deal with it, dude, and we'll get it worked out. And so the intervention that needs to happen may not happen, and that fear of losing their children, that's another reason the victims stay. And I just want to say one more thing about why people stay. When a victim leaves a domestic violence situation, or after having left the situation, that's when she is at greatest risk for being killed. And the batterer will tell her that go ahead, leave me. I know where you go. I'll know your family. I'll track you down. I'll go to your family. I'll kill you. And I'll kill your parents.
Yeah.
And I'll kill the children. And the reality is that happens.
It
And
does.
she's seen this person be incredibly abusive. She may have seen him be abusive to the family pet. That happens a lot. I've heard of women that their abuser will kill the family pet and say, you see what I just did to that dog? That's what I'm going to do to you if you leave me.
And
then,
it's crazy because that be majority of what it is, like fear of losing their life at the end of leaving the situation. It's like, he know where my mom stays. He knows where my cousin stays. Like, he know, like I had a girl, like probably like a week ago, called me and was like, I want to leave, but he know where my mom at. Like, when I go to my mom's house, he just pops up and makes me come back with him. And like, he just make, like, so it's just like, how do you help? Like, it's so many people. Like, when I dropped this song, it was so many people that came to me. Like, my brain almost burst. Like, you feel me? Like, I had like one girl, she lost her eye. Like, I had another girl, her house got shot up, like, by men, like, crazy. Like, it's just like, I didn't know it was that deep, like, when I made the song, like, I knew what domestic violence was because I seen my aunt go through it. I seen women go through it growing up. Like, my first girlfriend came from a domestic violence situation. Like, I was there, the dude was beating her up, and I was like, man, watch out, bro. And I fought. You feel me? Like, you ain't finna beat her up in front of me. And then me and her ended up dating. You feel me? Like, it was just like, I seen it so much, and it's just like, man, like, I didn't know people take it that far to like, you can't leave the house and you gotta wear this, or you feel me? Like, it's deeper than people really think it is, and it's crazy.
And that's why it's so important to talk about it, and it's so important to let people know that it is serious. And if you're being a victim, if someone's controlling you, if someone's jealous all the time, accusing you of being with somebody else, if you walk down the street and you look at somebody and you get accused of, oh, you want to go with him, don't you? If someone's calling you names, if someone's putting you down, if someone's telling you that you're no good, that's abuse. And if you're in that kind of situation and the violence hasn't started yet, the physical abuse, run out of that situation before that physical abuse happens, because I promise you, if that's going on now, that physical violence is going to happen.
See, that's what I try to explain to a lot of people, that they don't have to be hitting you for it to be abusive right away. You like, I know a lot of beautiful women who, like, I talk to them and their self-esteem is completely low, and I just be like, you don't see yourself? Like, you so beautiful. Like, what are you talking about? You're like, I'm all right. And I'd be like, why are you like that? And they'd be like, oh, he just always called me ugly. He tell me I'm fat. Or you feel what I'm saying? So it just be like, these women, like, these men get with women, they lower them down to where they feel like another man would never want them.
Right. And so they can totally.
So now you got complete control over the situation, because now you don't even feel attractive to any man that you meet, like, and it's sad. Like, so it was like, this was like very important to me to give to my fans and the people out there who just scared to come for advice, because even if they find out, like, oh, you looking for help, or and it turns into something else. So like, even when my homegirl called me like a week ago and was talking to me, she was like, all right, I gotta delete all the calls, I gotta delete the texts. Like, it's just like, how do you seek information secretly?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things, and then I have a question for Anthony. Thing number one, I think, is you gotta call our crisis line. It's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Even if you don't need the shelter, the crisis line is just a place where our advocates can kind of help talk you through other resources that may be available. You may not need to come in the shelter. You may have an outlet to get out of the situation. But if you are in need of shelter, we have two. We're located in Georgia. We have one in Fulton County, one in Gwinnett. And if you're not located in Georgia, we have a vast resource, and we can get you connected to shelters all across the country if that's what we need to do. But the crisis line number is 404-873-1766. And I put that in the comment section, so please scroll up.
One more time.
Yeah, I'll drop it in there.
I'll pin
404-873 1766. Nancy always has to remind me of the crisis line number. because I am notorious for forgetting it or transposing a couple numbers.
And like Jeffrey said, you don't have to give your name.
Mhm.
You don't have to say where you're calling from.
We
You
don't
don't
care.
have to say that you want to come into the shelter. If you're just like, I don't know what the hell is going on in my house
Mhm.
and it's not right and I need to talk to somebody about it, you can just call and talk to us about it. We can tell you support groups that we have in the community. We can hook you up with counseling. You talked about the kids, and domestic violence is awful for children, and it affects them, and they're more likely to have mental health issues, they're more likely to do poorly in school, they're more likely to themselves act out violently, to be inappropriate sexually, to use drugs, substances. So if you want to call and say, I'm really worried about what's going on with my kids and I need some help with that, maybe you've left the situation but you're struggling. Do I stay away? I'm hurting financially. He's asking me to come back. What should I do? For any reason, call and I'll talk to you about it.
I had somebody. Hold on.
No, you look, because I got a question for Ebony while you look. We've kind of hinted around the other forms of domestic violence, but we've talked specifically about the physical. What are the other forms of domestic violence that people can look out for?
Okay, so of course you have the physical. You know, a lot of times when we think of domestic violence, that's the main piece that we see is the physical aspect. However, you have the finance part where, you know, controlling how much money you make, or maybe going to your job. And sometimes people lose their jobs because their abusers may go up there every day. And then you have the emotional piece where, you know, the name calling. And a lot of times people say, oh, physical is worse than the others. However, I don't agree with that. When it comes to physical, say for example, a black eye, it might take 2 weeks to heal. However, on the emotional piece, you have to attend support groups, counseling, and that can stick with you forever. So those are different forms, and again, one form is not worse than the other.
And I think, Nancy, you hit it home because you talked about the fact that if it's not physical yet, like that's your, like if you're seeing any of the other forms, whether it's mental or emotional or financial, the eventuality comes where he will or she will hit you. And it will become physical. Because Nancy, you always talk about domestic violence being about power and control. Can you kind of explain that for us a little bit?
So people will say, oh, you know, she had such a low self-esteem going into it. If she would just feel better about herself, she wouldn't allow him to do that to her. Or it happens because there's drugs involved, or there's alcohol involved, or you know what, she just lost her job and she's really stressed out, so that's why she's yelling at and punching her boyfriend. But domestic violence is not about any of those things. It's about power and control. It's about me believing that I need to have complete power and control over you, and I will use whatever method I can to gain that. And like you said, it's like I will break you down so low. I mean, we talk all the time about and we do have a few men in our shelter, but it's mainly women. Stats say that about 85% of victims are women, 15% are men. So we have women come into the shelter and literally they've lost themselves. They don't have any sense anymore of who they are and their worth and their value and what they think and what they believe and what they want to do in the world. And so it's little by little finding those pieces of themselves and putting themselves back together, right? And eventually going, hey, I'm not a stupid idiot. I don't know, can we curse out here? You know, I just about every victim I've ever talked to said, I thought my name was bitch, because that's what I got called all the time. That's all I heard out of his mouth. And started, hey, I'm a decent, strong, important person, and really finding themselves again. Because like you said, they've just been so broken down by that.
So as a girl, when I posted it on my page, a girl DM'd me and she said, I have a question. How can you give yourself a normal life after being in a domestic violence relationship for so many years? Like it feels like you're protected by being with the person who abused you, but at the same time you lose yourself, your self-esteem. How can you possibly recover from that? What steps can you take?
Wow.
Help. Seek help. You can't do this on your own. You know, at the end of the day, domestic violence is not an individual issue, it's a community issue. So therefore, we need to come together and fix this and help people that need. So counseling, support groups. You know, I facilitate a lot of support groups in Gwinnett and Fulton County. And, you know, it's just, I see how one person can help another just by sitting in that room and listening. And the reason why I say that, because you might have one person that has been out of the situation for 5 years. And then you have another person that's kind of fresh out of this situation. And that person looks at that other person and say, okay, you know what? She did this, he did this. Yes, it was 5 years ago, but look at her now. Now she sees that she's that powerful individual woman. She doesn't see herself as that bitch as she used to. So help, seek help, support groups, counseling, and again, our services are free. And you don't have to come to PADV. There's like 46 other shelters in Georgia, so just seek help.
And you know what? I think remind yourself how incredibly strong and courageous
Yes.
you are. When I hear the stories of what people have been through, I would be on the floor in a huddle, sobbing, crying, not able to function at all. And I hear what people have been through, and they're getting up and they're taking care of their children and they're taking steps forward.
Sure.
And they're getting stronger and braver every day. Give yourself credit for the strength that you've shown just to make it through and make it out of that situation. And every little thing that you accomplish, if you manage to make a nice dinner tonight, say, wow, I did a great job making dinner tonight. And you managed to get your boss at work says to you, you know, you did a great job on that project. Damn, I'm good at my job. Look at how good I am. Give yourself credit for what you've accomplished, because your batterer told you that everything you did was bad and awful.
So my thing, like a lot of women that I talk to, and I try to tell them this, like, you gotta start learning to see the signs of when somebody is becoming aggressive or abusive. And before you deal with a man, you gotta watch like what he does, how he treats his friends around him. Like if you around a dude and he treat his homeboys, talk to them any kind of way, or when he around his mom, he don't respect her, you know, or he talk to his little nieces and nephews any kind of way. Like you gotta look at all of this, like, and how he treats people besides you while you're dating him, when you meet him, because these are signs that'll show you, all right, he don't got no respect for his friends. He talk to his mom any kind of way. If a man don't respect his mom,
It's not a good sign.
it's not a good sign.
That's a red flag. That's what we
That's
call
a
a red
big,
flag.
yeah, like, so you gotta look for all of the red flags
Yes.
before you decide to lay down or date anybody. Like, that's what I try to tell women, like, just evaluate who you're getting into something with, because people can hide, but they can't camouflage. Like, they can hide certain things, but they can't camouflage who they really are. Like, when you're around the person, you can really tell who they are, but you just gotta be open to see it and not disguised by the illusion that they create.
Right.
Right.
A lot of women will say that at the very beginning of the relationship, it was so wonderful, and he called me all the time, and he brought me flowers, and he took me on these beautiful vacations, and that just feels like, oh, here's this dream man that's so attentive, but he's too attentive.
Yeah, but
And calling you all the time
Yeah,
turns
so
into, why the hell didn't you answer the phone when I called you this time?
and I tell females, like, when a man is going so hard at the beginning, like, he's reeling you in.
That's
Like,
exactly right.
Like, no man just does all of that just perfectly. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, it's not that perfect of a situation. Like, if you meet a man and it's just like, oh, he's the dream man, it's no such thing. Like, every person has something that they have to work on. Every person has a piece of them that needs to grow. Like, something that's not perfect. And if you meet somebody and they're perfect, something wrong.
Right. And
Like,
you don't want to be his whole world. You want him to have his own. You want to be a part of his
Yeah,
world.
exactly.
But you want him to have friends and interests and things going on. Because if you're his whole world, eventually he's going to hold you accountable for everything
Yeah,
that happens in
exactly.
his world, and that is not going to be good.
You the fault for everything.
So I have a question. If you're not the victim and it's a friend of yours, right? I have a friend who's a victim of domestic violence, who I think is in an unhealthy relationship. What should I do? How can I support that friend?
Talk to your friend,
Mm-hmm.
but talk to your friend alone. You know, just make sure it's a safe space. And go ahead and start talking about those warning signs, those red flags, and see what he or she says. and then provide them with the information for resources. I'm not gonna say it's the only thing you can do, but that's the major key, is give them the resource. But a lot of times people don't seek help because they don't know help is out there. So talk to them, make sure they're alone, make sure it's not in their home, just make sure it's safe. And if you do give them any type of materials, just make sure the materials is, how can I say it? Just make sure it's not something that says domestic violence, call this number. We have like little nail cards, so give them like a nail card or a nail file, just in case, their abuser find the card. You don't want to make their situation worse. So don't go around giving them pamphlets that says domestic violence. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
And
Right.
and it's really, really hard to care about someone who's in a domestic violence situation, because you wanna fix it and you wanna make it okay, and you absolutely can't. Because being in that situation, they've lost power and control. So the only way they're gonna be able to get out of it is to grab that power and control back. So as much as you wanna say, leave now, you're crazy to stay, that's not gonna help, because you're taking away their power and control as well, and you're not gonna feel like a safe person to talk to. Because if I'm not ready to leave and you told me I was an idiot for not leaving, then the next time you hit me, I'm not gonna come back and talk to you.
Yeah.
So, but it hurts like crazy to see them in that relationship.
And the biggest thing with my friend, and it was like he made me the enemy.
Oh, absolutely.
So it was like he made it to where, okay, I know he's trying to help you. I know he cared. So now I don't.
And it was your fault of the relationship.
So now I don't want you to talk to him, and now he's the problem, and now because I'm doing this to you, blame him. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like I became the guy, like, oh, he the reason that we like this. He the reason because you keep trying to go to him and talk to him, and so like being that friend that's in the middle of the situation, trying to help, it can also turn on you and put you in harm's way too. Also, you feel what I'm saying? Because like, what if the attacker or the abuser say, "Oh, you want to help? Like, I'm gonna beat you up too, or I'm gonna hurt you or kill you." Like it's just like. Try to I don't know if people can call in for people if they ready, if people scared to call in.
People can call and say, I'm really worried about my friend, but they can't call and say, I want to get a place in your shelter for my friend.
Yeah,
because that friend has to call and say, this is what I want for me.
Like if the friend is willing, and like they just need somebody to take that first step for them to find.
If the friend's there with them, they could make the initial call and then put the friend on the phone. Absolutely.
Exactly. Because most people be scared to make that first step alone. So you might take that person that you got with you. All right, I call the number. I'm right here with you. You gonna talk to them, and they, it always takes that extra support system.
Absolutely.
So, something else that we often talk about are the myths associated with domestic violence. Can you guys just take a second and talk about those?
Well, one myth that pops up in my head is that it only happened to women who have low self-esteem. That is not true. However, being in a relationship when someone kind of downplays you, that will have a negative effect on your self-esteem. So that's a myth. Another myth that it only happened to women. Again, that's not true. We do see men, we do provide services to men as well.
I think that it only happens to a certain group of people, people of a certain race or ethnic background or educational level or economic level. Complete and total lie. It happens in all races, nationalities, people of faith, people not of faith, college professors, different ages, the rich, the very poor. I think you see it more in people that are struggling financially because they don't have a credit card that they can go halfway across the country and charge a hotel room for, so they don't have as many resources. But as far as it not occurring again, people with certain money, people of certain race, absolutely a lie.
Yeah, I've seen it happen to the strongest women.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen it happen to men too.
Yeah.
it can happen to anybody. That's why when I did the Do Better video, I didn't just single it out like women. You know, I put women, I put different ethnic backgrounds, you know, like I put drug abuse, I put, you know, like I wanted to touch
Same-sex
everything.
relationships,
Yeah, exactly.
opposite sex relationships.
Yeah.
I always say it would be great if it was just this group right here, because then we could put all our energy into just that group right there, but
It's
unfortunately.
more than that.
Yeah.
One of our fastest growing programs is teen dating violence. Can we have just a quick conversation about what teen dating violence is? And I'm sure I'm sure you have fans that are parents. So what are some signs that parents should look out for as it relates to teen dating violence?
So now technology is huge and everybody wants to FaceTime. So a warning sign that a parent can look out is if their child is constantly on the phone, maybe FaceTime with someone. A person can say, you know, hey, FaceTime me when you get home, FaceTime me when you go to your friend's house. And that's just another way of monitoring their whereabouts. Maybe you've seen a change in their attitude or their social life. You know, maybe it was a girl that always hung around her friends and now she's just hanging with her boyfriend. That's the isolation piece that we see. So it's a lot of red flags, warning signs, but I do know it's definitely good to talk to your children about healthy relationships. And so for our teen dating violence program, we go around to different high schools and middle schools and we talk about what a healthy relationship looks like, the warning signs, the red flags. And then again, you have to keep in mind, domestic violence is a cycle. So for example, if a little girl grows up in a household and she sees her father abuse her mother, that becomes her normal.
It's okay.
Right. So then when she gets older and starts forming her own relationship with a man hit her, she's like, it's okay, you know, I see my father do it. It's normal. No, it's not okay. And then we have to be careful the way that we talk to children because it starts at a very young age. And I remember, for example, you know, my parents would say, when I was in elementary, if I would come home and a boy hit me, they would say, oh, he likes you. That's why he's hitting you. But we have to be careful because we're telling our children that it is okay for a young boy to hit you. It's normal.
That's what boys do with that.
Right. So we have to be mindful of what we say to our children and talk about healthy relationships, talk about red flags and warning signs, what's healthy, what's not healthy.
Wow. So I know, you know, I have a little boy at home. And it's okay for him to roughhouse with me, right? It's all right to fight and roughhouse with daddy.
Right.
But when it comes to hit mom, it's like, whoa, hey, you know, that's unacceptable. Like you can't, you know, because, you know, since I started working here, one of my biggest fears is like, man, am I raising a son? And since I'm raising a little boy, you know, like, man, I just don't want him to be a batterer. Like, you know, there's some other things we can fix. Like do other things, but don't abuse women. And so I typically go a little bit more overboard when it's like, hey, play with daddy, fight with daddy, jump on me, but don't put your hands on mommy. Like that's taking it too far.
Well, and it's so much about what kids see. It's like you said, when, you know, look at this guy and check out how he acts with other people. So if little boys see their dads having conversations with mom and planning together and working together, and, you know, when mom's upset, dad goes over and gives her a hug and says, you're modeling appropriate behavior between male and females, and that's what that kid's gonna learn, and then that's how they're gonna act when they start interacting with
that's
other
what people don't understand. Like kids pick up and learn so much at a young age.
Yeah.
Like at that young age, that's when they're soaking everything. And then once they hit that teen age, it's like, okay, everything that I've learned when I was little, this is what I'm trying it out.
This is my normal.
You know, like from like I say 10 to 18, they try everything that they learned when they was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like everything that they learned through there, they're trying it out. Like so, it's like you just gotta be careful, like what you do in front of your kids, what little signs that you see, and you don't stop then. You know, like my little boy, like he rough, you know, so like I have to get on him like, hey, you can't be rough with those girls like you're rough with your brother or your cousins, like you can't be like that. So it's just like stopping it early, you know, because it like she said, it becomes, oh, it's just normal. It's, I'm just, you know, like I grew up doing it, or that, you know, so you just gotta stop things that you see early.
Yeah, man. Well, I know you're super busy. I don't want to keep you too long. I feel like this conversation is going forever. I will ask just Nancy, Ebony, just each one of you guys to just kind of give one nugget, one thing that you want anybody that's watching this to take away. What's the one thing you want people to know?
Okay, so what I want you to take away is if you're in a relationship right now and you're being abused and you're feeling torn down and hopeless and that it will never get better, it absolutely can get better. I've seen people at their lowest low, and I've seen them going back to being proud and happy and strong and celebrating their life. So if you're feeling like hopeless, call our hotline, 404-873-1766. It's one step at a time. Take that first step. It will get better. You will find yourself again.
My one takeaway is you're not alone and help is out there. You don't have to reach out to PADV. There's other agencies out there in Georgia, but help is out there. So just make sure you get in contact with a DV agency and get help.
Now that I've got like more information like on what to give these women when they come to me, I think we can help a lot more people, you know, like, and I get a lot, like Do Better still growing every day. Like, it's not like, it's still screaming millions of plays. So it's just like more women are coming aboard and realizing their worth. Like, I never knew a song could make women feel like, why am I in this situation? Like, I get a lot of women that say like, your song made me leave.
Wow.
You know, so like if a song, like if my song is doing that, and now like the women who my song didn't make leave, but it's getting to them,
They're thinking,
like at least I can give them the information and the knowledge to be like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, man.
You know, like, so I thank everybody for y'all time. I thank
you.
y'all for the information, you know, and I definitely will pass it along.
Yeah, man.
You know?
My hope is that we can do this again. I don't know when, but we'll kind of coordinate
No,
schedules.
we'll definitely keep it going, like, because like as the fan base grows and people realize, okay, like he really went and sat down and he's making a step for us. Like, my kids started school today. You know, like my kids started school today, and I had to rearrange a whole lot to get this, you know, because I wanted to do this, like, you know, so like I definitely want to do this again.
We can do it.
As we, like, people see me serious. I'm gonna leave this live up so women can go back and watch it, you know, like, cause like it's Monday. A lot of people started school today.
And it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, and it's, you know, like it's the middle of the day, you know, like, so I'm gonna leave it up to give people time to go out through or come in later on tonight and watch it, you know, and be able to get information from it. And then the people that I did get DMs from, like, I'll go back and send them the number. Like, even if you gotta save it under Pizza Hut, like,
there you go.
you know, like,
There
you know,
you go.
even if you gotta save it under your doctor's name or, you know, whatever, like, I'm gonna give the number out, you know, save it, you know, like, and.
You know, the crazy thing is we have business cards, and on one side it's our crisis line number, and on the other side it says PADV nails. This way, if an abuser sees it, oh, that's just a nail salon.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so that's, you know, it's just the little things, man. And so the next time we do this, we'll make sure we do it at like 5 o'clock, so we get a different group.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be at a time where everybody's home and, you know, got a chance to chill. And then see too, like, Wendy's recording it and we're gonna put it on my YouTube channel. You know, and we'll spread the information and we'll save a lot of lives.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
Like I said, PADV Atlanta is all of our social media handles at PADV Atlanta on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can DM us if you have any questions, or if you need anything, or you can call our crisis line number. It's pinned in the comment section, but it is 404-873-1766. So call us if you need anything. DM us if you have questions. More than happy to get you whatever you need.
One more question.
Yes.
If you were in an abusive relationship and you left the situation, but the abuser is still harassing you, like text calls, like bricks outside your window threats. Like, what is your next step? Like, what do you do? Like, do you call the police? Do you,
That's a
you know,
great
like,
question.
can you get like what's restraint or
Right,
like?
so you probably in that situation want to get a temporary protective order, and what you do is you go to the county where the abuser lives, and you tell them you want to get a temporary protective order. If it's Fulton or Gwinnett, we've got staff that will walk you through the process. And so it can give you custody of the children, it can give you residence of the house, it can say that your abuser can't come within a certain distance of you, and if the abuser violates a temporary protective order, then he can get arrested for doing that. Now, what you need to remember is that that's only one piece of protection. So even with the temporary protective order, if your abuser knows where you go and how you go every day and gets behind you walking down the street and has a gun, that temporary protective order is not going to keep you safe, but it can help. It can be an important part of a safety plan to increase your safety. And if he's got a job that he wants to keep, if he's got things that's important to him, and you have a temporary protective order, he's going to understand, if I violate this, I'm going to jail, so I need to back off.
And I was wondering this too, like, is it something that like can train women to protect themselves? Like, is it like, that's what I be thinking, like, why isn't there some like, you know, like a class where women can learn how to defend themselves, or like even firearms or whatever, like, you know, training and
We don't. If somebody wants to take that step, that's certainly their decision. We don't advocate for that. A couple of reasons. If you own a firearm, there's always a possibility that can be used against you, even if you know how to use it well. And again, abuse is not only physical.
I'm
so
saying,
even,
like, once you're out and you still have this fear, you know, like.
Right, and I think that's something that if you're out of the situation and you're looking at what else can I do to make myself feel safer, I think that's an individual decision that people will have to make. Do I want to learn some physical protection techniques? What are the things that I need to add to my life now that will give me a better sense of safety? And I think it's really individual.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, man, no.
I
Hey,
had
this
a little.
is
I had a
real
little.
life.
Yeah. Now I had a little. Like, no, for real, because
Absolutely.
somebody else I know just had this situation recently, and they just popped in like, oh, I forgot this one. You know, and it'd be so many, but we'll definitely come back and revisit the topic.
I'm willing to sit here as long as you're willing to sit here. I just know, I think Nancy has some.
Yeah, no, we good now.
Okay, all right.
It's a great question.
Now we're
Thank
good.
you. It's a good question.
So, all right, so thank you again, brother. I appreciate you. Thank y'all for watching.
Thank you.
If there's anything that we can do for you, please feel free to DM us and or call our crisis line, and we'll get you squared away. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank y'all.
All right.
Lil Donald.
Hey, there is like a women's self-defense program run by a jiu-jitsu guy, and after
Yeah,
this,
that was
dating.
awesome.
It was great.
There was actually somebody who said she called the
I'm trying to
crisis
look at
line
the
and
name
said
for it right now. It's
they said that we
Gracie
said that we were
Jiu-Jitsu.